اوكي، نكمل بارت 2. ساعة و5 دقايق. زي ما قلنا البارت هذا من اللي فهمت انا بيكون مركز على حماس اكسكلوزيفلي زي ما قلنا. بر كلمات فيه الترجمة حق الفيديو هذاك كانت لك عليها، فانت ايش احسن نسوي؟ نسويها كده، نكمل زي برنامج امس. عرفت؟ ايوه ايوه، خلنا نكمل الانترفيو هنا. 3 2 1 بارت 2. Let's go.
They cannot do the job.
But how else do they get rid of Hamas?
Not like that.
ايوه. انه كيف يتم التخلص منهم. نفس السؤال اللي كان يسأل الكل، موضوع البروبورشنت ريسبونس. اوكي خلينا نرجع ورا شويه.
No, I don't believe either side.
But here's my problem with Israel.
But here's my point. I don't think we should assume that we know these statistics are correct. I don't think we should assume we know exactly how many children are being killed. We do know a lot have been killed, so the moral argument remains the same. But we don't know how many Hamas terrorists have been killed in the last 3 weeks. We just don't know, do we?
So basically we're dealing with a very incompetent military force that has been sucking America dry for years, and then they cannot do the job.
But how else do they get rid of Hamas?
Not like that.
How do they do it?
I don't know, but not like that, because they've been trying
But you've
to
got to have another...
افضل جواب، لا في فلسفه ولا شيء. I don't know but not like that. والدعم الماخذينه من امريكا، تقريبا البنوك قربت تخلص يا صاحبي. دي صوت الدراي على قولتهم.
They have, first of all, I'm not a military expert. Second of all, they've been trying the same thing for years. They go in, this is not an eye for an eye anymore. This is an eye, a limb, a life, a house, a neighborhood, a whole population for an eye.
They don't see, I mean, your friend Ben Shapiro that you particularly despise.
Oh, I love Ben Shapiro. He's very smart.
Oh, yeah, but you've been very critical of him, and that's fair enough. I'm sure he would be of you. But when I asked him about proportion, he said, I don't care about a proportionate response.
So let's kill civilians as...
Hamas did this, so we are going to get rid of Hamas. It's not...
But not like that. مو بكذا. بن شابيرو ترى قال ايش؟ I don't care about a proportionate response. ما يهمني ايش الرد المناسب، امسحوهم حرفيا. You know?
So let's kill civilians as...
Hamas did this, so we are going to get rid of Hamas.
But
it's not, in his eyes, it wasn't eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. It was this group of terrorists did this, and we are now going to rid the world of these terrorists.
And this is very important to look at things in context. When you see how Israelis talk inside their community. There was a very famous post by Uriel Eritzol. He is the speechwriter of Netanyahu. He said, what is so horrific about understanding that the whole Palestinians people are our enemies? All of them are enemy combatants. We should kill them, kill their mother, destroy their homes, the homes that they raised those snakes, so no snakes will be raised in this house anymore. And this was reposted by Ali Chaket, which is the Minister of, wait for it, Justice. It's not about Hamas anymore. It is not about Hamas. They can tell you it's about Hamas, but it's not about Hamas. It is basically, they have said it many times, Piers. This is a way to kind of push them into Sinai. This is not about eradicating Hamas. This ship has sailed. I am sorry, but like anybody who still believes that this is about Hamas is stupid, because they...
See, I don't agree with that.
Really?
No, because I think...
But why they're...
I'll tell you what I don't agree.
There are like 100 people...
I think any country that suffered the kind of terror attack that Israel suffered, with the kind of death toll that occurred that day, 1,500 plus people, grandmothers, kids, young women being raped, kidnapped, beheaded, it's been reported, and so on. Well, you can raise an eyebrow. I mean, they found a young woman's skull, right?
What about the babies that were beheaded?
Well, there was a report, and you and I had this discussion on air. You falsely quoted me, and I wanted to clarify that with you in person. You thought I'd said that 40 babies had been beheaded.
So what did you say?
I never said that.
What did you say?
I said it's been reported that 40 babies were killed, some of whom had been beheaded. That's what I said.
Yeah, totally,
so
totally different. Yeah.
There's a very different... Well, it is different.
Yes.
Do you accept it?
English is a second language, so things
they're different things.
Of course, yes.
Between saying 40 babies have been beheaded and 40 babies have been reported to have been killed, including
So where
some
are those
who
beheaded
were beheaded.
babies?
Well, apparently journalists are being shown utterly horrific
Okay,
footage.
this comes to a very important question about credibility. Again, I'm not condoning what happened in October, but I'm not a journalist. But as a journalist, wouldn't you take anything that an authority would say with a grain of thought?
Yes.
Especially if this authority have a long history of lying. And I'm just going to give a few examples. 1996, they bombed Kana. It's a refugee camp. They killed 106 people. Despite that they knew it's a refugee camp. They said, oh, maybe it's a one-time off. 2006, they bombed Kana again. 2014, they killed 2 teenagers at a checkpoint. They denied, as usual, but CNN was there. So they said, we have to say it. 2018, they killed a medic, a Palestinian medic, and they fabricated a video showing that it's someone else, that he was a human shield. And then
I would say, Bassem,
can I just finish
but I do want to respond.
And then
Let him
2010, they killed Ahmed Oraiqat, denied it, then said, it's okay, it's us. 2021, they bombed the media office in Hawaii.
Wait, they killed أحمد عريقات. هذا عريقات اللي كان وزير صح في الحكومة. What?
Denied it, then said, it's okay, it's us. 2021, they bombed the media office in Hawaii. It's not us, but no, I'm sorry. And then, 11th May 2022, Shireen Abu Akleh, reporter, your colleague, she's
تخيل أول ما خلص يعني الوقت هذا كله، يعني من يوم ما انقتلت ل3 أشهر قدام، المسألة كلها كانت هل يجوز الترحم لها ولا لا. ما كان إنه نوصل الناس المسؤولة عن قتلها للمحكمة. نو هل يجوز الترحم عليها ولا لا. قسما بالله هذا كان
May 2022, Shireen Abu Akleh, a reporter, your colleague, she's Palestinian, American citizen, she was shot in the head. And they provided forensic evidence and even a doctor's video that it was not them, it was Islamic Jihad. How can I expect to believe this regime, especially if the president of Israel comes down with this ridiculous thing? Have you seen that?
No.
He's a
كتاب الفردوس الأعلى، القاعدة نشرت النشرة الدورية المعنية بالتطوير الذاتي والتصرف ما قدرت أقرأ الآخر كلمتين.
Okay. This was reported by Sky News and it was
الذاتي والمعرفي
the funniest
للكيانين.
thing I've saw in so much. This was a Colin Powell moment, but like the cheap edition. Mr. Herzog said, like Isaac Herzog, it's like, we have found evidence on one of the terrorists, a manual to create chemical bombs. And then he showed this, and he showed, and this is, so I just want to say, why would a foot soldier go into enemy with like a manual to chemical bombing? It's like, is that BYOB, bring your own beer, bomb? It's crazy. And what he like have like local ingredients to make, and then this is like, this is a manual of Al-Qaeda, of course, conveniently written Qaeda. And let me read it to you in Arabic because this is funny. So, النشرة الدولية المعنية بالتطوير الذاتي والمعرفي للمجاهدين, which basically say, this is basically like a catalog for self-improvement for mujahideen. I didn't know that they have life coaches. So this, and you know what Sky News said? It's like, we cannot confirm or any of this, but we will show it anyways.
So let me respond.
So this is like this is a lying government.
So let me respond. I do think the Israeli government has lied.
All the time.
Right? I do think they've lied. I'm not going to dispute that. I do think they've been caught lying.
Finally.
I do think they've said things that turned out not to be true. I also think that 2 weeks ago, a hospital was bombed.
Yes.
And it was
Who do
immediately...
you think did it?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I think. Hamas immediately tell the world it was an Israeli airstrike, and that 500 people were killed, and that the hospital had been destroyed. And then as the next couple of days go by, the hospital is relatively undamaged. The car park was obliterated. Many fewer people than 500 were killed.
How many people died?
We don't know, because actually we're reliant on the Palestinian health authority, which is Hamas in Gaza, for the figures. So we don't know the number, but a lot fewer people died, it would appear, than the
like
500.
100?
We don't know.
50?
Either way, it's appalling, but it may not have been anywhere near as appalling as was first said by Hamas. But here's the point. Most independent studies of what happened have concluded that it was almost certainly a militant stroke terror group inside Gaza, and they fired a rocket which landed in the hospital car park. In other words, it wasn't an Israeli airstrike.
So I have an issue with that, because for 3 days before the attack, the priest and the patriarch of the hospital, because it's called the Baptist hospital, said that they have received multiple warning from Israel that they're going to hit the hospital.
Oh.
And then at the time of the hit of the hospital, one of the top aides of Netanyahu, he tweeted about like we hit the hospital, and then he deleted it, and then basically like Israel gaslighted the world.
But
It was not us. It was not us.
But that's why I said most independent.
No, that's not true. New York Times actually like just published something to prove that it was shot from Israel. And the thing is,
No,
okay,
they didn't, though.
Okay, numbers.
They didn't.
Numbers.
Bassem, that's not true.
Okay.
The New York Times has not reported that it was Israel.
No, they said
They haven't.
Yes, Part2.
That's not true.
over 10 years, Hamas launched 35,000 rockets into Israel.
And many failed.
They killed 69 people. And 25% military, only part of them were civilians. So over 10 years of 35,000 rockets, they killed 69 people. But in one strike, you want to tell me that these glorified firecrackers caused that kind of damage?
Yes, it looks like they did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, it wasn't the damage that was reported by Hamas, who wanted people to believe it was an Israeli airstrike. So my point would be, I'm happy to concede that Israel government has lied about stuff over the years. But I'm absolutely certain as well that Hamas lie all the time.
Why are we holding a militant...
I believe, from all I've read, I believe they lied about the hospital.
Why are we holding the militant terrorist group to the same standards as the best
Because
and
they
only
because they happen
democracy
to be
in the Middle East?
They happen to be the ruling party in Gaza. So they're not just a terror group, they are a political group as well, a political party.
Okay.
Well, they are. So the question again comes this, and so far you've ducked it, so I want to ask you one more time. We can both agree that the scenes in Gaza right now are horrific, because I do feel that. But I don't know how else Israel...
يو انا لازم اروح واجع السريع. بتاخر دقيقتين بالكثير. I'm so sorry for that. لكن لازم انزل تحت، في اغراض لازم اجيبها. ثواني بس، وما ابغى افوت عن نفسي صراحة الكلام، لان الكلام مهم. 2 minutes maximum، 3 minutes اذا وبرجع لكم. Sorry again. Let's go.
Israel can eradicate Hamas than the way that they're currently trying to do it. Do you have an alternative for them?
Well, again, we are locked in the same thing. What can we do now? But we don't look at what was happening over there. The best recruiter for Hamas is Israel. I mean, you have talked a lot about the horrible condition.
Yeah.
I mean, let's imagine like a little boy called Rami. He lives in Gaza. You know, he have a horrible life, but like, you know, it's not that bad. I know he has a cousin in the West Bank. He's living a good life. He wake up in the morning and he found out that he was kidnapped by 3 settlers. He was burned alive by kerosene and he was forced to drink the kerosene. His name was Muhammad Abu Khudaira. That settlers did that to him in 2016. So, all right, you know what? I'm just going to leave. I'm going to find a way to go to...
Pause. أحس ما له داعي تعطيه أكثر من حقه. إيش تقصد؟ ما فهمتك. يا اسطى أنت هتقفل؟ نو أنا موجود يا صاحبي، أنا موجود. إيش صاير؟ وعليكم السلام. خلنا نكمل هذا الجزء الأخير من Part 2. مورغان ده ليش؟ أحس ما له داعي تعطيه أكثر من حقه. ليش؟
to Europe. His aunt,
المهم
and he was forced to drink the kerosene. His name was Muhammad Abu Khudaira. That set...
معليش شوي لخبط مع الشات. نرجع لمثال رامي.
Let's imagine like a little boy called Rami. He lives in Gaza. You know, he have a horrible life, but like, you know, it's not that bad. I know he has a cousin in the West Bank. He's living a good life. He wake up in the morning And he found out that he was kidnapped by 3 settlers. He was burned alive by kerosene, and he was forced to drink the kerosene. His name was Mohammed Abu Khudayra. That settlers did that to him in 2016. Said, all right, you know what? I'm just going to leave. I'm going to.
سمعت القصة هذه، سمعت القصة حق محمد أبو خضيرة، سمعتها. شربوه كيروسين، مدري غاز، مدري بنزين، وحرقوه. فلما ينحرق جوا وبرا، inside out. Yeah.
Mohammed Abu Khudayra. That settlers did that to him in 2016. Said, all right, you know what? I'm just going to leave. I'm going to find a way to go to Europe. His aunt is a published author, and she won a prize in the Frankfurt Book Fair. His name is Adnaya Shtalabi. And now she was cancelled because of what's happened, just because of her a Palestinian. His other aunt in America, his name is Amawi. She is a speech therapist, and this is close to my heart because of my son. And she was fired because she did not want to sign for government contract that said that you cannot join BDS, which I don't understand. Why do people choosing to protest peacefully by not buying goods from a certain country? Why would the United States make that its own issue? So, and this guy, this Rami is being approached by like, join Hamas, join us, let's go kill Israel. No, I don't want to kill. I'm going to live in Gaza. It's a life. But 97% of water is not good for human consumption. Half of the population are anemic. Even the is not being treated, and it goes into the shores of Israel. It's like, oh, those Palestinians. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So, and then he wakes up in the morning. He doesn't think about killing Jews the first thing in the morning. He thinks about being there at 5 o'clock at the first 50 people in the line for bread, because if he doesn't, he will miss the food for his family. And he goes back, and he finds a message saying that we are going to bomb your house. He comes back, he loses his whole family. Now, tell me, what is a proportionate response for that?
Oh.
I don't know.
Get ready to taste a pinch of magic. With Lidl's Deluxe range, it's easy to amaze your loved ones with a
نايس. يس سر، يس سر. أفضل مثال عطاه في وجه بعد. أوه، دائما تسأل عن الرد المناسب، صح؟ الرد المناسب. أوكي، اسمع هذه القصة. بابا هذا اللي صار الآن بعد هذا كل اللي صار لرامي. إيش هو الرد المناسب؟ برو again بكرره بعيدة وكتكس إحساسك خطأ. باسم يوسف اللي سواه، فهمت علي؟ سوى أفضل من أي رجل دين للأسف على السوشيال ميديا، أكثر من اللي سواه raising awareness ويوصل المعلومة الصح للغرب. باسم يوسف سوى أكثر من رجل الدين، أكثر من صناع محتوى، أكثر من المثقفين، أكثر وأكثر وأكثر وأكثر. هذا أفضل شخص يمثل يتكلم عن القضية الفلسطينية من شخص من عامة الشعب لعامة الشعب حق أوروبا. فول ستوب.
He will miss the food for his family, and he goes back and he finds a message saying that we are going to bomb your house. He comes back, he loses his whole family. Now tell me, what is a proportionate response for that?
I don't know. I don't know.
You cannot create terrorism and then you...
I don't know.
They have created this.
I don't know is the answer. But Bassem, let me ask you this. Hamas will have known when they perpetrated what they did on October the 7th, what the scale of response was likely to be. How does that help the Palestinian people
I don't know.
that they are supposed to serve?
I don't
Nobody
know.
knows.
The wheels are already set in motion.
But it doesn't, does it?
I do not, I feel sometimes that Hamas is with us in the room, that we are bringing Hamas. Who has the power in this equation? Who has the fourth largest and strongest military power? The whole idea about Israel, it's like, oh my God, the Arabs are going to destroy us. Look at the map.
Hamas, hang on. Hang on. Hamas's stated goal is the eradication of Israel and the Jewish people.
Yes.
They make no pretense about it. They've made no attempt, unlike the Nazis who try to cover up their crimes.
Absolutely.
They've made no attempt to try and deny what they brazenly boasted about it.
Yes.
They are proud of what they did. Right? And they will have known, again, the scale of what they did on October the 7th would have prompted this kind of response, which would have led to thousands of innocent Palestinians getting killed. And my question for you...
I wish the 7th of October never happened.
Right, but
every time something happened.
You say, well, Hamas is everywhere. Well, yeah, actually all roads, roads on this particular part of the crisis, and I accept it's been going on for 75 years, this conflict, but all roads in this crisis lead to Hamas and what they did.
And not necessarily. Because all roads goes to the condition that created Hamas. If the Jewish people were expelled from Europe and went to Argentina,
كل الطرق ما تؤدي لحماس. بس يوسف.
Condition that created Hamas. If the
الظروف هي اللي تؤدي لحماس. Yes. Facts.
If the Jewish people were expelled from Europe and went to Argentina or South Africa and Uganda and went in and took the land, you would have Hamas in all of these places.
You and I can agree that the conditions Palestinian people have had to endure in Gaza for a very long time are completely unacceptable. I think it's completely unacceptable that Israel has wielded such control over the people of Gaza, working out who can come in and who can go out, turning on and off water and power on a whim, turning off the internet on and off at a whim, all that kind of stuff I can completely agree with. But given that I think we agree Hamas are a terror group...
Okay, let's say...
Let me finish my question. Given that we agree that Hamas is a terror organization who have a publicly stated position of annihilating not just Israel, but Jewish people, and as we saw on October the 7th, they mean it. If you are Israel, what do you do to get rid of those people who have shown the world that's exactly what they will actually do if they get the chance?
You know what I would do? I would give the Palestinians what they deserve. Terrorism is a virus.
Yes.
It's a virus.
I agree.
If a patient with a flu came to you and you're a doctor, how can you treat that patient? How do you treat it? As a doctor, how do you do?
Well, you're the doctor.
You give them
تشيل الفلو الفيروس ولا تشيل الفيروس والمريض مع بعض.
Nutrition, fluids, and rest. So the immunity of the body gets rid of the virus on its own. If I received that patient with a flu and I took a sledgehammer, it's like, why are you not getting better? Do you think that patient will get better? No. You are weakening him. You are making him worse. Israel did not just weaken the body of Palestinians, making them unable to get rid of hate and radicalism. They have openly bolstered about helping and giving money to the same terrorist organization. So,
I agree. I think Netanyahu is complicit in keeping Hamas in power because it suited him politically.
Yes.
And I think you can't get away from that.
Yes.
There's no question of that. But there's also no question that the Israeli government, led currently by him, has to stop Hamas from perpetrating another terror attack. And again, it comes down to this question. What do they do to get rid of Hamas if it's not what they're doing?
I don't know. But as an Israeli citizen listening to this, how come that my prime minister bragging about giving money to the terrorist group that he is using right now to eradicate a whole group of people, and yet using them as an excuse? Isn't that weird? This is like Tony Blair being found giving money to Al-Qaeda or ISIS and then going to fight them. How does this work? How does this work?
I agree.
How does this work?
Yeah, but I agree with you.
So yeah, it's a terrorist attack. And Israel is funding them? I mean, this is in the words of Benjamin. This is the thing about Benjamin now. He brags about that stuff. So this is a circular question.
Yeah, but
yes,
I agree
Hamas is to blame. Who created Hamas? Who's helping them? And who is allowing for an environment for that kind of hate and destruction of Jewish people to aspire? And I think there's something very important to the Western audience here. They think that Israel is a small, tiny country between the hostile Arab countries. The biggest military power in the Arab world is Egypt. They have a peace treaty. Their neighbors, Jordan, they have a peace treaty. Saudi Arabia, Emirates, either have full relationship or on the way of normalization. Yeah. The only people that, even Syria is not didn't launch a single bullet. The only two crutches that Israel has is Hezbollah and Hamas. Yeah. A few militant, thousands of militant. Syria, is that really formed an existential threat, especially if I know that over 13 years, only 69 Israelis were killed.
I would say.
Would that really wipe out Israel? Is Israel that weak?
I think if you have two groups of people who are ideologically wedded to your destruction as a state and as a populace, and you're constantly firing rockets, as Hamas have done for over a decade now, then that cannot be acceptable. You have to stop that, right? These are terrorists who've now shown on October the 7th their true colors. They don't just talk about wanting to kill all Jewish people. They are going to do it if they get the chance. So I don't believe Hamas can possibly stay in any position of authority in Gaza. I think that would be ruinous for not just the people of Gaza, but also for Israelis. So if you're going to get rid of them, which many people think on both sides is inevitable and should happen as a consequence of what they did, the big question is, how do you do that? And I don't know any other way other than the way Israel is currently doing.
برو جين اوريدي اعطاه طريقة تبع يونج توركس، اوريدي اعطاه طريقة، هو بس ما شكله ما عجبته الطريقة ولا شيء، بس اوريدي اعطوه الطريقة ضيوفه، يعني ضيوف الكرام هذولي اوريدي اعطوه الطريقة. برو what the fuck.
Hence my personal moral quandary about this.
So if a terrorist takes over the Empire State, instead of taking him out, we bomb the whole Empire State?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Proportion.
That is not even a question. Well, that was not even a question, because that would be ridiculous.
You talk about the normalization of the region. I mean, the theory that I most buy into, supported by recent, I think, Wall Street Journal reporting, that hundreds of Hamas terrorists had gone to Iran for training before this attack.
Okay.
It had obviously been very carefully organized, and so that is, I think, highly likely. But if you're Iran and you're looking at all this normalization and you're looking at Saudi Arabia being next, this is your worst nightmare. So a perfect time to commit an atrocity like this through your proxy of Hamas.
Again, I'm not a political expert to know what is the background, but let me tell you.
It's a likely theory.
Is Hamas justified? Is all of the horrible conditions that Palestinians are living in, is that a justification for Hamas doing what they did in October 7th? Good.
Do you think so?
Of course not.
Right. So we're agreed.
No, of course. So let me ask you the question.
Already agreed. Already من زمان they agreed.
A different way. There is no justification what Israel is doing now. No Hamas, no terrorist attack justifies this. Well, because you have been there. No, but you have been there. You have stood against the Iraq war. Yes. And that is too much.
Yeah, but here's the difference.
You are killing a whole population.
No, here's the difference. I didn't stand against them for that reason. Mm-hmm. I stood against the Iraq war because I did not believe we had seen evidence that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. So we were fighting a war against a country and a despotic leader which had nothing to do with 9/11, as they were trying to claim. It was actually a lie perpetrated on the world, and the consequences were disastrous. 1 million people died. I mean, over 150 British troops died. My brother served in Iraq and could have been one of them. You know, the whole thing was a fiasco, a deadly fiasco. It led to the rise of ISIS and all the hell that came with that. So, you know, yes, absolutely, I fought that campaign against that war, and I wish I'd been successful. But the singular difference here is no one is disputing, least of all the Hamas themselves, that they perpetrated this attack. And I believe Israel has a fundamental right and a duty to defend its people from them doing it again. So if we can agree on that as a principle of a country that's had that kind of attack and how you deal with it, the question then becomes, how do you eradicate the people who did it? And I just think, given the intense nature of the way the population exists.
أظن سبب إعادة بيرس هذا للسؤال أكثر وأكثر، لأنه شفت يوم تحس إنه ما أعطيت الأسباب اللي تخليك ما تعرف الجواب، كل ما تعيد كل ما تجيب سبب جديد فهمت علي؟ الآن السبب الأخير اللي حط الزادة اللي هو كيف مثلا الكيان يقدر يتخلص من حماس أو يضربه ضربة تخليه يفكر مرتين ثلاثة إذا عشان لا يعيده، يعني فهمت علي؟ هذا باختصار اللي قاعد يحاول يسويه.
Exist in Gaza, very, very large numbers of people in confined places, and that is in itself unacceptable, and I will agree with you.
عشان كذا أنا ديني ودين الادز حق حق اليوتيوب تخريب.
with you
فككم بالجو انه
large numbers of people in confined places, and that is in itself unacceptable. And I will agree with you about all of that, and that has to be fixed longer term. But actually, if Hamas are everywhere there amongst these people, I just don't see any alternative to what they're doing. And I'm very happy to consider one. But I don't think you have one either.
So if the Iraqis were actually, there was evidence that they were behind 9/11, would that still be okay to kill a million
we
Iraqis?
have a parallel, which is
اوكي هذا نفس الشيء اللي كان في بالي. بيرس ما كان ضد الحرب كحرب، هو كان ضدها عشان ما كان في ال WMD أسلحة الدمار الشامل هذه ما كان في درينا موجودة، فقط عشان كذا كان ضد الحرب على العراق، مو عشان المليون شخص اللي تهجر ولا الكم مليون اللي ماتوا. صح؟ اوكي بيرفكت. لقطة حلو.
Actually, there was evidence that they were behind 9/11.
حتى لو كان في أدلة على وجود الأسلحة هذه، would it be okay with you إنه في ناس تموت ولا لا؟
So if the Iraqis were actually, there was evidence that they were behind 9/11, would that still be okay to kill a million
we
Iraqis?
have a parallel, which is Afghanistan. And in fact, I would say, but that raises a different question. So was the Afghanistan war just? I believe it was, in a way that Iraq wasn't. I believe that Afghanistan was harboring terrorists, Al-Qaeda. We know that they were training there. We know the Taliban were there. And we went in, we launched this war. It goes on and on and on. Huge bloodshed on both sides. And in the end, after a ridiculous overnight pullout by America and President Biden, the Taliban are back in charge and waging the same kind of medieval rule they waged before all this. So you've got two things. Was it justified to strike back at Afghanistan for harboring Al-Qaeda? I would say yes. Did the means in the end justify the war? You could argue no, actually, because actually you ended up with the Taliban back in charge. So they're two different things. And it may well be here, by the way, as I've said, that if Israel pursues this ground invasion, it backfires horribly. It leads to a much wider conflict involving many other people, possibly including Iran directly. And it could be a horrendous escalation and a massive war raging through the whole region. And that is my fear about it. But I come back to the central point of justification. And I'm really struggling to see what else Israel is supposed to do to get rid of Hamas. And if you've got an alternative, let's hear it.
I do. Piers, this is never about Hamas. Believe me, it is never about Hamas. If somebody tells you who they are, listen. Israel has been telling the world all the time, they need to clear the Gaza Strip into Egypt.
You think that's always been the plan?
Always there. I mean, they have said it. They have said it many times. Why does Egypt take them? And do you think when Egypt takes them, do you think they go back? No, never. And then when they're done with Gaza, they will go back to the West Bank. They will kind of like build the settlements around them, and then until they push them into Jordan, because that is the plan. They have talked, not just Benjamin Netanyahu, everybody said like, there's no state, two states.
برو هذا كابوس كذا، معناته خلاص خلصت السالفة، خلصت. لو طلعوهم للسينا مؤقتا على قولة باسم، وينك مؤقت، والبقية حق الضفة الغربية ودفوهم على الأردن، انسى يرجعوهم. مصر حاليا ما عندها أي قدرة إنه يعني يدخلوا 2 مليون شخص. already البلد منتهي يعني financially، ماليا أو اقتصاديا، اقتصاد شبه منهار، عرفت؟ ولو سواه، لأنه أظن حق مصر بتكون أصعب من حق الأردن، ما أدري ليه بس أظن أصعب. لو دفوهم هناك ما أدري إيش بيصير في الأردن لأنه أصغر. الأردن أصعب، عرفت؟ ممكن يتفقوا إنها بتكون مؤقتا انه يدفوا يعني قاعد اتكلم كانه ما قاعد اتكلم عن الناس، انه يعني يطلعوا السكان للسينا. ايش بيكون المقابل عشان يوافقوا الحكومة المصرية؟ هو شبه مستحيل انه يوافقوا، او مستحيل انه يوافقوا. ممكن يدفعوا الديون تبعهم او يلغوا الديون حقهم، مو بيلغوها، نحن ندفع عنكم بس شيلوا 2 مليون. هذه ممكن الطريقة الوحيدة. ما ادري لو في شباب من مصر يتفقوا معي ولا لا، عرفت؟ بس ممكن هذه الطريقة لمدة 2 سنين عبال ما نرتب الأوضاع، نعيد بناء القطاع. خلوهم معاكم، وبالمقابل راح نغطي أو نقفل ديونكم مع البنك المركزي. ممكن هذه الطريقة الوحيدة. بس 150 مليون أو مليار دولار يدفعوها عشان ممكن، لأن هذا الدين صح على مصر. وعندك موضوع الأردن. الله يستر برو، أحس إحنا كذا عايشين في مرحلة مفصلية، صح؟ turning point كذا في التاريخ عامة، في التاريخ البشري أو التاريخ الديموغرافي. damn.
It is one state and is for the Jewish
I don't
people.
think he believes in it.
Until they push them into Jordan, because that is the plan. They have talked, not just Benjamin Netanyahu, everybody said like there's no state, two states. It is one state and it's for the Jewish
I don't
people.
think he believes in a two-state solution.
Nobody believes in a two-state solution. It is one state.
But nor do Hamas, obviously. And they're the ruling authority in Gaza.
They
don't.
You see what you're comparing? It's a militant group. It's a small militant group.
But they are
Israel as a nation.
They are the elected political leadership.
They were elected in 2006, and 50% of the people in Gaza right now are under the age of 16. They were not even born.
I understand.
Yeah, like so. And the
so
thing.
All right, so Bassem, let's agree about that.
But that's the circle. It's
I understand. It's a circular firing squad.
Hamas.
I know, but okay, let's move forward.
Oh yeah.
Let's assume somehow we get to a place, possibly at the instigation of countries like Saudi Arabia and others getting directly involved, where you get to a place where Hamas are removed, and I don't quite see how that happens without enormous further bloodshed, but let's assume they get removed. Let's assume that Netanyahu is removed from office, which I think is highly likely just from the fury of his own people about what they see as the defensive and security failings, plus his attack on the Supreme Court already causing huge polarization. Let's assume we get new leadership in both places. Could there still be peace? Could there still be a two-state solution?
No.
It can never happen.
No, because Israel have already shown it's not about Netanyahu. It is the policy of Israel not to give the Palestinians their seat. It has always been there.
But what if you find leadership that understands?
You will not.
But why are you so...
You will not.
Why do you not think so?
Because Israel has been...
But they would say the same about the other side. And I remember...
Who has the power?
Let me give you a parallel.
Obama in his book...
Let me give you a parallel.
Okay.
Let me give you a parallel. Northern Ireland, okay? Northern Ireland appeared to be completely intractable, with the IRA and the loyalist paramilitaries trying to kill each other. In the IRA's case, trying to kill British people as well, because they did not want this to go the way that people wanted it to go. And ultimately, we got to peace because we found leaders who actually had the courage, the moral courage, to get in the room with the people that were trying to kill them and to do a deal. I don't think you can do that with Hamas. They're on a different scale altogether to the IRA. But we did have a seemingly intractable place riddled with violence on both sides, and eventually we got peace. Do you not see there's any chance of doing that here?
No, not with Israel. Obama, after he left office, he wrote in his book, the problem with the Palestinian-Israeli conflict is that one side is extremely powerful and one side is extremely weak. There is absolutely nothing to oblige that strong side to give anything. All over the years, Israel showed you many times that they are not interested in peace. Leave Gaza. Forget Hamas for a second. The West Bank. What have they been doing in the West Bank? The illegal settlements did not stop a single day.
And it's completely wrong.
Yeah, but the thing is
it's wrong. I agree with you.
But you see what they're doing in the West Bank right now? They are creating little Gazas. They are creating little Gazas.
Yeah.
And until they are like squeeze them.
It's completely wrong.
There
Bassem.
is a hilarious documentary called The Wanted 18. It is like an Israeli-Palestinian co-production. And it tells about the incredible story about the residents of Beit Sahur. It's a Palestinian town next to the Nazareth. And they said they don't want to depend on the milk coming from the kibbutz. So they bought 18 cows. 18 cows. And they didn't know how to milk the cows or have a cow farm. So they were like engineers and doctors. So they sent people to kind of like to learn how to do the farm. So they bought the cows and they started to produce milk and they started to sell the milk to the villages. The Israeli authorities were not very comfortable. So one day the military government came in and was like, those cows, and I quote, constitutes an existential threat to the national security of the state of Israel. You need to get rid of them. And the movie goes about like the hilarious attempts of hiding those cows between the butchers and the houses. And in one scene, a cow is actually running and the Israeli soldiers are like running behind it and they corner it and they corner it and they're about to kill it. And you know what did the cow say?
What?
You didn't fall for this. Cows don't speak. Yeah! But you know, it actually said something. You know what did it say? It said Hamas. But anyways. But you see, this is the ideology.
برو ما ادري هل اكون جاد معاه ولا اكون مركز ولا اكون عرفت ما تعرف ايش تتوقع من باسم هذا. الترجمة تقهر.
But you know, it actually said something. You know what did it say? It said Hamas. But anyways. But you see, this is the ideology of the Israeli ruling party. They are not interested. They're not even allowing you to get your own cows. I mean, I want to discuss something that is very important because we have been talking about Israel being a democratic state, a secular state for all of its citizens, including its Arab residents, right?
Yes.
Wrong. 2018.
Wait, what's wrong? انها دولة ديمقراطية؟
I want to discuss something that is very important because we have been talking about Israel being a democratic state, a secular state for all of its citizens, including its Arab residents, right?
Yes.
Wrong. 2018, there was a resolution that was offered in the Knesset that say that Israel should be a state for all of its citizens. That seems basic, right? That resolution was not even allowed to be discussed. It's like, wait, why? And the rebuttal was, Israel being the state of all of its citizens would threaten the character of the Jewish state. There is, I have a friend of mine, his name is Andrew. He's Palestinian Christian, they do exist. And his family comes from a town called Tarshiha. As many Palestinian towns, these would like, you know, had another Israeli town called Kafar Vradin. It is a left-leaning town. They voted against Netanyahu by 70%. And they announced an auction to sell houses. And then they noticed that most of the applicants were Palestinians. They canceled the auction. Why? Because in each Jewish town, there is something called admission committee that can decide who can live in this town. Sounds like Jim Crow for me. And then they canceled. And you know what they say in the reason? They say, Kafar Vradim welcomes all citizens of Israel, despite their race, gender, or color. However,
نفاق في ليفل وحش. اللي ما يعرف جيم كرو do your homework. فتش على جيم كرو، اكتب جيم كرو او نظام جيم كرو.
Israel, despite their race, gender, or color. However, the majority of the town would like to preserve the character of the town as being Jewish, Zionist, and secular. How does this go together, secular and Jewish aside? You know, and this brings me to this picture. This is a very famous picture. You know, remember this picture? I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
This, for the people who don't know, this from San Augustine, Florida, 18th of June, 1964.
Sarah?
This was a white-only motel. And these are black.
اوكي هذا هو جيم كرو. هذا جيم كرو لو اوكي. ايام الفصل العنصري كان حمامات للبيض زمان امريكا، حمامات للبيض، حمامات للسود، شواطئ للبيض، شواطئ للسود. كفايه ايش؟ كفايه بقى ايش قصدك؟ كفايه ايش؟ خلاص ما بقى شيء برو. روح تعال الزبده. آه الصورة هذه من وقت هذاك، هذا هو قصده جيم كرو. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
The majority of the town would like to preserve the character of the town as being Jewish, Zionist, and secular. How does this go together, secular and Jewish aside? You know, and this brings me to this picture. This is a very famous picture. You know, remember this picture? I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
This, for the people who don't know, this from San Augustine, Florida, 18th of June, 1964. This was a white-only motel. And these are black activists who wanted to defy the law and jump into the hotel. This guy, he's the owner of the hotel. His name is James Brooke. And he was pouring acid to scare them out of the hotel.
Ooh.
His neighbor said that James Brooke was a victim because he was just following the law. And you know what James Brooke said? He said, it's not like I don't like black people. I just don't like them in my swimming pools. Now, if an official said that, wouldn't you say that this town like them in my swimming pool?
Wait.
He said, it's not like I don't like black people. I just don't like them.
It's not that I don't like black people. I just don't like them. السالفة مو سالفة اني اكره السود. باختصار انا اكرههم. اوكي وما ابيهم في المسابح تبعي. هذا هو السبب. وفي الصورة كان هو نفسه صاحب الفندق كان يرش عليهم أسيد عشان يطردهم.
Said that James Brooke was a victim because he was just following the law.
ايوه الناس قالوا انه جيمس بروك اللي هو اللي في الصورة اللي كان يكب أسيد هو ضحية لأنه كان فقط يتبع القانون. نقطة باسم انه السالفة مو بسالفة حماس المرة الدشليون. سالفة قوانين المغتصب هذا او قوانين الكيان. فهمت علي؟ already تقصي الفلسطينيين. لانه في نقطة اكبر او هدف اكبر اللي هو من كلامهم يعني كانوا يتكلموا عن هل ممكن يكون في دولتين. فقاعد يوري الدولة هذه اصلا ما تبي. خليك من الفلسطينيين، خليك من حماس، لانه انت قاعد تقارن جروب ميليشيا فهمت علي برابع اقوى جيش. قاعدين المثال هذا عشان يوصل له انه السالفة مو سالفة السالفة إيمانيات الناس نفسها. فهمت علي؟ يعني it's not that I don't like black people, I just don't like them. فهمت علي؟ نظام إنه هو فيهم البغض للفلسطينيين. فهمت علي؟ وثاني شيء القوانين يعني. فهمت علي؟ هو في النهاية ضحية لأنه كان يتبع القانون، والقانون يقول ممنوع السود يخشوا. فإيش سوي؟ طلعتهم بكل الطرق، كبيت عليهم أسيد you know. Let him cook.
And you know what James Brooke said? He said, it's not like I don't like black people. I just don't like them in my swimming pools. Now, if an official said that, wouldn't you say that this town has kind of a systemic racism?
Yes.
I don't like them in my swimming pools. دخل في موضوع systemic racism. أيوة. الآن بيرجع بيقول له هذا كله طبقه في وقتنا الحالي. Please say that.
This quote was not said by James Brooke. It was said by Deton, the head of the Galilee municipality, when he said, I don't like Arabs. I don't.
تتفق ان الشغلة هذه عنصرية، نظام عنصري؟ قال له ايوه. قال له على فكرة الشخص اللي قال له الكلام هذا انه I don't like black people هذا مو جيمس بروك اللي في الصورة، هذا واحد يهودي قال I don't like Arabs. حشرة. اوكي
Deton, the head.
برو الحماس الفيني. Let's go.
This quote was not said by James Brooke. It was said by Deton, the head of the Galilee municipality, when he said, I don't like Arabs. I don't just like them in my swimming pools. The town of Nazareth Elite, 2010, the Arab Christians in the town, they requested to set up the Christmas tree next to Nazareth. This is the birthplace of Jesus. And you know what they said? We cannot have it because non-Jewish symbols would offend Jewish residents.
But this comes back to what you were saying at the start, which is about the hate on both sides.
No, I'm not talking about the hate. I'm talking about this shining example that Israel won't tell the world that we are like the Western world. We are secular. I don't know if you know this, but they're not just like secular, like Christians against their own Arab. I'm talking about like Arabs with Palestinian, with Israeli identity. I'm talking about them being even racist against their own people. 1950, Yemenis immigrants that came from Yemen, and they were in the transition camp waiting to be transferred into Israel. Their kids were taken away from them and given to white Ashkenazi Jews because they were not white enough.
But Bassem, what would happen if a Jewish person went to Gaza?
Why would they go to Gaza?
Exactly.
Even I wouldn't go to Gaza.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah, it's a dystopia. Who would? But like, but I'm just.
So it's not just. You're raising points about Israel, making it out that somehow they're as bad or worse.
No. But
what's going on there? Hamas has ruled over
yes,
the Palestinians in the most oppressive way imaginable.
Absolutely, but you know what? Hamas never claimed that they are the only democracy in the region. They never claimed that they are secular. They never said that they adopt Western tradition. And they definitely, they did not use that lie in order to carpet bomb a whole country.
Okay.
Now here, I want to say one example. And I'm going to leave you.
All right.
Israel, you think that Israel will like, by the way, the whole thing about the Yemeni children, you can find it in New York Times. It's called like the lost children of Israel, the forgotten. But even when Ethiopian people were immigrated to Israel, Ethiopian Jews, women then report, 2013, that's not like 50 years ago, they reported that they were given against their consent and without their knowledge contraceptive shots so they wouldn't reproduce because they are the wrong color. Israel is a racist, apartheid country that is projecting this shiny example of secularism and democracy for the people so people can accept whatever they do because they look at Palestinians as lesser people. This is the whole point. This is the whole point. And I would like to quote Winston Churchill. He had a quote that say, I don't believe that we have made a great wrong to the Red Indians of America or the black people of Australia because they were replaced by a higher race, a stronger race, a more world-wisely race. This is why Queen Rania is criticizing the West. This is why we here said, like, where are your values? Because this is the crux of the problem. It's not Hamas. It's not Palestine. It is people looking at us as lesser human beings.
Bassem? I don't dispute the characterization that a lot of the Israel administration look upon Palestinians as lesser people. Otherwise, they wouldn't.
They even look at the Ethiopian Jews and Yemeni Jews like less.
I wouldn't dispute that. I want to quote you to end this.
No, why would you end this? Don't end this.
We'll be talking for 2 hours.
Why not?
At some point,
we're having an amazing time.
We can do another interview. Well, this one goes big. I think this is a neat way to end it. He said, I actually believe there is a middle ground between everybody and they can meet. I direct my criticism for the extreme of each one of them. That was you, Bassem Youssef.
Say that again. Sorry.
Well, this one goes big. I think this is a neat way to end it. He said, I actually believe there is a middle ground between everybody and they can meet. I direct my criticism for the extreme of each one of them. That was you, Bassem Youssef. I agree with that. But I don't share your view there can never be peace in this region. I think there can't be with the current leadership structures in both countries, or both places. But I definitely think you've got to be optimistic about peace. You just need to find people
I
who can
hope so.
forge it.
I hope so. But the reason, listen, I refused to come on your show when your producer first called me for the first interview because I was scared. I was afraid. For me, that was a career suicide. Because I'm talking. This is even important because you are someone who's always talked about like against cancel culture, about like speaking your mind out, speaking your mind out. I left Egypt and I came to America, the land of the free, the home of the brave. But I didn't know that there was a fine print said that you cannot speak about Israel. I have issue with that. Israel is a foreign country. They're allies, good.
But you
we
can
give them
speak about Israel.
How many people lost their jobs? Even Bella Hadid. Bella Hadid, by the way,
She hasn't lost her job.
No, but she's talked about death threats. She's talking about like being silenced.
Sure.
By the way, Bella Hadid she's Palestinian. And you know who else? Gigi Hadid, sisters.
I love Hadid.
They are with us.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
I know them both, they're very nice.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you are that high and you cannot speak about it, and it's not about, it's
Well,
like.
you can, you just have to have, you can. I mean, I've spoken out about these issues and you get shot at, not literally, but metaphorically all day long on social media. But that shouldn't stop people from doing it.
I'm just like wondering, as an American.
You do?
As an American, yeah. But like, I'm doing now because like the first interview went well.
Right.
I'm doing that because I want people to see that you can really speak up and not just get canceled, but get rewarded. My career is going fine.
Yeah.
It's great because I want people to have the courage. There should be no limits. I'm kind of like so confused as an American citizen why every American presidential candidate have to go and kiss the hand and bend the knees to AIPAC. This is a lobby that works for a foreign country interest. Why don't we have like a lobby for Saudi Arabia? At least they're giving us more money.
You know the great thing? You can say that here.
Yes.
You couldn't say it in Egypt. That's why you're living here.
Yes, but again, a lot of people feel the burn, the heat whenever they come
but
down.
if I was an American, I'd be going, all right, Bassem, all right, we'll take the criticism because you can do that in this country.
And I'm happy.
When you criticize the government in your own country,
Yeah.
they drove you out.
Yes, and that's why I came to America, to play the white man's game, to actually to pass this acquired white privilege to my children. But the problem
it's not just a country of white people.
But here's the problem.
And the white man's game, the game in America is not a white man's game. It's a game that actually has a democracy and believes in freedom of speech.
But there are dog whistles everywhere.
You're not going to be put in jail for this interview.
Or I can lose my career and I can lose jobs, and you know that.
You
know
could
that.
in Egypt, you could.
No, here you can.
In Egypt, they arrested you.
Here you can.
And they threatened you, and you would have probably ended up in prison or dead.
Here, a lot of people lost their jobs because they spoke up.
It depends what they say.
Of course, but again,
if you're Kanye West and you spew anti-Semitic
no,
garbage,
I'm
you're going to lose.
I will never adopt that kind of point of view. But the thing is, there is dog whistles everywhere. As I told you at the beginning, you cannot just say it's like anti-Semites. Like, I mean, now, how come that the Palestinian flag is outlawed? By the way, it's outlawed in Israel. If you raise the Palestinian, you go to jail. And now they're saying like the Palestinian flag is a pro-Hamas. No, it's not a pro-Hamas. You know, I was doing a comedy show in Arizona, and a guy was like wearing like a kofaya, like a scarf, and I took it, and I'm not like in hyperbole and like wearing symbols, but I just took it because like, why are we gonna outlaw colors and flags? That is absurd. That is not right.
I agree. I don't think you should, but you should certainly outlaw Hamas.
They're already outlaw. I mean, I'm not supporting them.
They're a terror group.
Okay. But the people with the power, the people who supposedly have the...
And you should, by the way, I will say this, you should be able to criticize the Israeli government without being accused of being anti-Semitic.
But
I have in this interview repeatedly, and I'm not anti-Semitic. I just have a problem with all of what the Israeli government's been doing.
And I have a problem with how any criticism to Israel by some circles here are considered anti-Semite. This is not fair.
But a lot of the people doing it are actually anti-Semitic.
Yes, but also a lot of Zionists are against Israel, that they hate the Jews. You know,
we've discussed that. I want to end on a happy.
But before that, I want to just like say 2 words about the media, which is, please.
Sure.
Mr. Zomlot, the Palestinian ambassador that you have, this guy lost 6 members of his family in an Israeli strike. And when he went on like some British news thing, he sat down and the lady told him, it's like, we are very sorry for your personal fun. I'm sure you don't condemn the killing of Israeli civilians. What? In the same moment. There's another girl like called Yara Eid. She was like on Sky News. And the girl was like crying, like, I lost 30 members of my family, 17 of them are children, I lost my best friend. And then, what did you think would happen forget about empathy.
I think a lot of people...
What about manners?
Well, I think you have to start... I've said this repeatedly. You have to start from a place of humanity. You have to look at what happened on October the 7th and feel utterly outraged and disgusted for the loss of human life.
Yeah.
And you also have to feel that for what's happening in Gaza to innocent people.
But
and if you can't feel for both sets of people, both sets of innocent people being killed, if you can't feel a sense of despair and horror over their deaths, you don't have any humanity.
Believe me, Piers. Believe me, Piers. It's not really about that. There's a deep sentiment in the Middle East, in Arabs, that the West do not look at us as equals.
Well, you know what?
So what I did, I went to the machines.
Yeah.
And I asked ChatGPT simple questions. Do Israelis deserve to be free? And you know what they tell me? Yes, Israelis deserve the right like any other people. And then I asked the same question, do Palestinians deserve to be free? And you know what they tell me? It is complex. It is a sensitive issue.
Well, it's not complex. It's not sensitive. The Palestinian people should be free.
Yeah, but
And they
even the
should-
machines
let me
have...
finish. And they should have exactly the same rights
Yeah.
to freedom and freedom of expression and a way to lead their lives and to water and to power and to
Yeah.
internet that Israelis have and we have here in America and we have back in my home country of the UK. And I want that for the Palestinian people. We've got to end it there.
Okay.
Mainly because I've worked up a hell of a
All
hunger
right.
in 2 hours of interview and you have brought your wife's cooking.
So, okay,
Hala, so tell me again how I do this.
Okay, so basically,
Take a piece of this,
You-
put
you-
it in
you-
the olive oil,
yes,
which is from the West Bank,
yeah, from the West Bank,
and then a little bit of this,
yes,
like that.
yes, yes. This is like amazing oil coming from the olive tree. This has come from the West Bank. Since 1967, Israel have actually uprooted 800,000 olive trees, just to.
That is absolutely delicious.
I know.
Please thank your wife for me.
Thank you.
Wish her all the best and her family, particularly those who
قاعدين
are
غزة.
obviously in
هو
Gaza.
قاعد ياكل.
It's been great to see you
Nice, nice.
Thank you so much.
nice.
in America. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Let's keep talking.
Yes.
I honestly think the way forward is keeping talking.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Woo. خلصنا الفيديو. خلصنا الفيديو. سلام. He's the right person. باسم يوسف الشخص المناسب. At least في الميديا الغربية. The right person. يعني الله وفق، عرفت؟ في الردود. خلنا نشوف تعليقات ونقفل. The first interview ever from Piers that isn't a debate. أول interview مو بمناظرة. It's just a conversation. مجرد محادثة. Bassem, I feel your passion and strength. Thank you for making a 2-hour interview seem like a few minutes. صحيح. I don't know about that. Seem like a few minutes. أخذ لنا ستريمين صح؟ بثين عشان نخلص المقابلة هذه. You can't deny, despite the frustration he caused at first, Piers absolutely redeemed himself with being open enough to have this conversation. Facts. بيرس أظن هو الشخص المناسب، يعني الشخص اللي يمثل الرجل الأبيض اللي مو فاهم إيش اللي صاير بالضبط. فهمت علي؟ ويبغى يفهم إيش الحاصل. عرفت؟ Never thought in my life I'd watch 2 hours of Piers Morgan. عمري ما تخيلت إن راح أشوف ساعتين من بيرس مورغان. Let's go. Nice. Again, بغض النظر عن كل اللي يعني كانوا يقولوه والآراء اللي سمعناها، قضية فلسطين قضية عادلة whether we like it ولا لا. خليهم whether they like it ولا لا، whether we like it ولا لا. بس أهم شيء يعني نذكر الناس بالدعاء لأهالينا في غزة. عرفت؟ والله يصبرهم ويفك محنتهم في القريب العاجل. وبيقاب لكل اللي قاعد ينشر، اللي قاعد عرفت، اللي قاعد يسوي اللي يقدر عليه لي دونيشن. ف لا حد يستصغر الأشياء هذه. بيقاب السوس وشكرا اللي حضروا. نراكم غدا. كان معكم موديلا. See you tomorrow. Out.